Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Shweta Jain and our topic for today is Lessons from a Finance Expert. And the speaker for today is Mr. Shailesh Shah. Mr. Shailesh Shah has completed his webinar from China Europe International Business School with a specialization in finance. Currently, he is the Vice President of Corporate Finance at Sun Group. Thank you, sir, for joining us and taking out time for all the students. And yeah, just a little housekeeping before getting started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat box and we can discuss it in the later part of the presentation. Now, without doing any further ado, we will start the webinar. I would request Mr. Shailesh Shah to take over and guide the students.
Hi, Shweta. Thanks for the introduction. I just would do this thing. I'll probably give my introduction and I mean, with the journey so far rather, and then I'll open it for the questions. Like I think like the subject that is there is too broad to really compress it in somebody's essay, and also I mean speech, and I also don't think that it's I mean I have so many I mean I have enough experience to cover everything, but I'll be happy to answer your questions. So I'll first begin with what I have, and then I'll directly open it to question and answers. Yeah. So I don't know how that happens, but probably you could type it in the chat box or chat window. I think that's how it is supposed to be happening. Anyways, so I'll begin with what I have done, where I come from, everything. So I started my career about 10 years ago with a dual degree from BITS Pilani. So I had a dual degree in electrical and electronics engineering, the other being in finance. I was there at Pilani between 2006 and 11. It was also the time when I almost completed my CFA, because there was so much time in college to probably do it rather than in your work life. So I started doing it at that point in time. After graduating from college, I joined Credit Suisse, their investment management or asset management division, as a research analyst. Most of my job was to make econometric models, so I was not hired as a finance person, but more as a statistic person in the company. And what I did at that point in time was to build models which were used to price or trade, conduct pricing and trades for the company. And I was there with Credit Suisse for about 5 years, doing different roles, moving from economic research into research on bonds, currencies, commodities like gold, energy, etc. I spent about 3 years in Mumbai, and then I spent the following 2 years in Singapore. After that, I moved to Abu Dhabi. There is a bank called Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank. That's the second largest bank in the UAE. And that bank, I was working as the attaché to the CFO of the bank. Basically, you are in the CFO's team, and what you do on a daily basis is whatever the CFO of a bank does. And generally, the functions of a CFO of a bank are divided into investor relations, basically talking to people around shareholders, what they do. The other one is accounting. So generally keeping a tab of where money is being spent, how money is being spent, different ratios, different metrics that the bank needs to take care of, what new products are being launched, what are the cost controls. So that was his job, and I was basically assisting him. After that, I went to my business school for about 2 years. That was China Europe International Business School, and there was a dual degree that I had. So I spent 1.5 years in China and a year in the US, University of Chicago. And therefrom, I landed in my current role. This current role I am doing, that is largely a finance plus strategy role in a corporate, where a business is having multiple, I would say, branches or different areas of interest, from ranging from oil and gas to mining to renewables to your electric vehicles. And most of my job is to understand how money flows from one part of the business to another, capital planning, uh, understanding how specific business plans converted into numbers, how much of what we are thinking is right, what we need to do, what we need to change, all those things. So yeah, I mean that's mostly my journey. Work wise, I have worked in India, worked for a bit in Singapore, I've worked for a bit in UAE, then for a bit in China, and then I'm back here. So yeah, that's the story. And I'll probably want to open this up for questions one by one. Shweta, just let me know how do you want to do.
Completely fine if the students are typing their questions, or they can raise their hands and I will call out the names and they can speak out their
Sure, sure.
questions.
Whatever.
Yeah. Any queries? You can put it up in chat box.
I think nobody have. So please continue.
So so that's the thing, like, any questions you have, I mean, so you have to begin with beginning, right? Like, I don't even know how do you think about these things. That's why I wanted to understand, like, what is it that you want to know about a career in finance. So let us begin from there, and then I can go from there. Because see, again, it's very difficult to start talking about what you do until you understand what you want to know about what I want to do. So
I
yeah, that's
guess Krupal has raised her hand. Go ahead, Krupal.
Yes, I wanted to ask you that how can I become a financial analyst in a separate company?
okay. And Kripal, what class or where are you in your studies? Then I can go from there.
Sorry, sir. Pardon?
Where are you studying? What class? What level of education? Then I can answer your question better.
Right now I'm studying in MSc Baroda. It become honors and my specialization subject is banking and insurance.
Okay, I understand. So for anybody to take a see, the thing with banking is, like, at least at the junior levels, there are plenty of open jobs, though they do not pay as much as finance and banking pays you in America or England. But in general, they are very good starting points. So the first thing that you need to do, particularly in order to get into financial analyst roles, is to understand what kind of financial analyst you want to become. For example, hello, there is
Atish,
some
please mute.
interference. Yeah, there is some interference. I can't hear anything. Yeah, please. So, so there are two. There are two parts of it. There are two kinds of financial analyst jobs. The first set of financial analyst jobs is people who are working with a company to help company manage its money. So these are called corporate finance guys, in very simple terms. Then there are people who are working with investors or groups of investors to help them manage their money. So these are investment analysts or investment management analysts. Now, in between those two groups, there are different kinds of people. Like, investment analysts could be analysts who are analyzing stocks in the listed market, like, HCL or TCS or your Honda or whatever. Or these could be guys who are into private equity and venture capital. These are the people who analyze new sorts of companies, new forms of companies which are not listed, which are in new technology. Or they could be people who are interested in investing in your bonds or currency markets. These are again these are again analysts. So my point is that to be a financial analyst, you have to first really understand that there are different kinds of analysts. There are, like, people who are called sell side, whose job is to help companies sell their securities, basically shares, or help companies. So company is your client. Then there are people who are the buy side. For buy side, the person who is the client is the invest, like for people like me and you. So even in financial analysis, there are different types of roles. The most important thing to understand is that if you want to start your career in this, you have to start understanding what roles are in the industry, what do you like, probably get a lot of financial certification to understand, who's doing what. At this point in time, if you are, like, looking for financial analyst roles and you are doing your BCom, I would strongly recommend that either you take the NCFM certification exam for stock markets, or if you're interested in that, or you start doing your CFA exams, so that you have some amount of broad-based understanding of finances. So that is the first step for you. The second step is to keep reading keep reading whatever is there in the markets, global markets, national markets. Read as many newspapers as you can. Understand what is happening around you. Question, talk to people. Now there are so many resources that are there, like you have blogs, you have YouTube channels, you have Clubhouse discussions. I think that is also going to be benefiting you a lot. So I would say there are a couple of things. Build your expertise, get integrated into a community, and also keep talking to people in the sector, and and see if they can help you out. So yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Atish, I think you asked me how to manage personal finances. Yeah, I mean, that is a great question, and I think that this is something that we should be learning in school, like high school, because this is like, I think this is as much importance as important to people. Learning how to manage your personal finances is as much important to people as maybe like physical education or education about, government rules, laws, regulations, managing your money, because that is something that is not taught to people at all in our schools right now. And it is important also to understand, why do you need to manage your personal finances? You need to manage your personal finances to meet personal goals and objectives in life. It is not to make money. Money is always the instrument, the idea, and this is something that most people, even if they are grown up, they don't understand. People need to learn how to manage their personal finances to meet goals in life, not to get the thrill and kick of actually investing. So to manage your personal finances, the first thing is to understand and develop a framework of looking into the long term. Like, what do you want to do in 10 years? Where do you want to go in 5 years? All those things. And then start planning backwards from there. So again, this is like a very complicated subject where we can go deep into things. But the most important thing is to get into a habit of goal based investing, and also to build a habit of forced saving, because as human beings we are always have this tendency to say to spend as much cash as we can, as long as it is in a liquid account. So build a habit of saving and also manage your personal finances that way. So that's one way of doing it. If you want to get into detailed questions, that's another thing. So Abhinav, you have asked me that you want to become self-independent, you want to start earning and investing. Okay. So the first thing is that once you get your job, and this is important, once you get your job, set aside at least, and I hope that you get a good enough job, 25 to 30% of your income in savings that is invested in markets. By markets, I mean public markets. And the easiest way to do would be either take mutual funds or ETFs, which are basically very simple instruments. You just need to open an account with a broker who will invest that money into mutual funds. These days, you can also use an app to make those investments. Like you have Grow, you have Upstocks. They'll deduct the money from your bank account. They'll invest it into a number of instruments that are there in the market. Make it a habit and always resist from withdrawing money quickly from there. So be that person who is able to make that habit of investing very early. Keep some of your savings away from yourself. And I would say a good way to do it is to develop to directly invest in the markets, not to see too much in terms of which stocks are good, which stocks are bad. First, develop a habit of saving, then develop the habit of investing. This is very important. First, you have to learn how to save and put money into simple things, like just buy an index fund. An index fund is basically a investment scheme that invest in the general stock market. And in our country, which is a fast growing country, any stock market investment is going to give you much higher money returns than putting your money in the bank. So buy a index fund, go to an app. Like there are multiple apps. You could go to Zerodha, you could go to Grow, you could go to Upstocks. There is Paisa Bazaar, there is 5paisa.com. So there are multiple places where you can actually open an account very easily through a KYC and start putting maybe like 1,000, 3,000, 5,000 rupees. I think as a person who is like 18 years old and you want to have an investment or retirement income of around 2.5 to 3 crores at the time you retire, you should start thinking about investing anything around 9,000 to 10,000 bucks per month into equity markets. I think that will compound very quickly into a good retirement corpus for you.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
If I am studying engineering
Mhm.
and I not want to do job
Mhm.
and start something independent, so how I will prepare for it?
Okay, so that's fine. Like a lot of people these days don't want to work full time. They want to do something on their own. See, there are a couple of things that you have to understand before that. First of that is that, do you have any obligations, meaning that responsibility, in the sense that are your parents dependent upon you for income? Are your do you have any other kind of education loan or something? If you can take care of all of those things for a while and invest some amount of your time, labor, and intelligence into business, why not? The point is, again, to not just jump into something saying that I don't want to work in a job and this I want to do something. You need to have a very fair idea of what do you want to do, at least from an Indian perspective, because again, we are a country which is slightly poor, so we don't really have so much liberty in terms of having that time to think what we want. Be very sure about what you want to do, how do you want to live off the land basically, and then yeah, you can start.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. Yeah, so my question is, how can people follow markets efficiently? Because these days it's not easy for everyone. Like people are either busy in jobs or there are students who have classes and other stuff for an hour or 1.5 hour.
Mhm.
So how to track markets like a professional? Your suggestions, please.
So I'll say that this thing, like, tracking markets daily and tracking markets on a daily basis is a very exhausting and time consuming task. And anybody who is doing a job is not able to, is it's impossible for even me to do it. So the thing is that you have to understand that in the short run, market is driven by psychology. In the long run, it is driven by fundamentals. So the thing is that if you are a person who needs to track the market on a daily basis to see where are the investment opportunities, even by the minute, by the hour, then the better way to do it is to go full on in the market and just do it every day. But if you are a person who has a regular job and regular life, then what you do is you invest in some things which are going to earn you money in the long run and then slightly forget about it. For instance, I personally do not track the market on more than once a daily basis, and that's also because I love to read finance and all those things. What I do is that on a monthly basis, I've decided that there are certain kinds of stocks that I'm interested in, and I invest in an index fund on those stocks. Or if there are some stocks which I believe are in the same industry as me, and I think that they are going to be very I would highly rewarding, I just go and invest in it. See, the one important thing that people have to understand in terms of markets is that there is no point being greedy. Everybody loses something or the other all the time. There is always an opportunity cost to it. You will never be able to figure it out completely. There is only as much in the market for your satisfaction, but there is nothing in there for your greed. So all the time you will see that somebody is saying, "Arey Bitcoin lele, arey do this, do that." Yes, all of those things could yield the money, but do you really need that given your position and situation in life? Because time also has a value in terms of money, right? Most people don't understand that. Like, that's the reason why I said that when you are planning your personal finance, you should look at it from the point of view of goals in your life, not from the point of view of what is available around, because there are so many things available around you. And in finance, the way you pay for things is in terms of your anxiety and your time. If you are ready to invest so much of your time and your peace of mind for certain things, go ahead and do it. But if you're not, then probably just put money into a few good things and relax. That's the most important thing. In terms of what newspapers and other things to read, I mean, different people have different opinions. What I do follow particularly for India is I follow Mint, and apart from that, on the global markets, I generally follow the free newsletter that Bloomberg sends, and that's all I need read in the morning. That's all. Like, I probably spend half an hour on it, and that's all I do. So that's all. There is a question from Lakshya. What is important right now, learning skills or learning investment? Again, I do not know what skills are you referring to, but I am kind of assuming that this is job skills. See, those two are two very different things. Obviously, like, you need to
Hello,
learn your
sir.
job skills to get money. Yeah, Lakshya, hi.
Sir, actually, the question is that right now I am doing an internship in content writing.
Mhm.
So at this point of time in my life, do I need to learn some other skills? Because I have seen a trend that after content writing, people go into marketing and from that into business development and so further on. So at this point of time, is it important learning these skills, or is it the right time to learn about investment?
So I'll tell you what, like, see, there are two ways of careers in finance. One is financial expertise, and one is basic finance that everybody should understand. Okay. So I'll tell you what, see, this is this. When you're talking about basic finance, it's like basic healthcare. Do you need to go to the gym every day, or do you need to exercise every day? Yes. But do you need to have a body like that of a wrestler or a advertisement model? No, right? See, for you, your skill is different. For me, my skill is different. I exercise every day, but I'll never look like somebody who exercises 3 hours per day, and his job is based upon how good he looks. and how much he has exercised or how much she has exercised. So that's the point. Like, you must need to know certain useful skills in investment to protect money and to create wealth, but you should also be doing your daily job. Like, you could be a doctor, engineer, police person, anything, man. There are certain parts of investing that are relevant to everyone, and there are certain parts of everything that are not relevant to everyone. That's the point.
So
It's like, do you need to know cooking or not? I think you need to know, because sometimes you need to stay alone in the house. But do you need to be like a cook? That's another question. For a very long time, finance has been a thing that has been left to experts. But the problem is that money is something that we all need to manage.
Okay.
Now, it's up to you whether you go from content writing to finance, or whether you go from content writing to management, marketing. That's a question that is a very different question. But to suggest that whether there is a trade-off between learning what you do and learning investments, I think there is not, because amount of learning that will be involved in investment is not so much. It is going to be like some basic stuff, right?
So side by side, learning my skills, can I also learn investment, like just
Yeah.
starting off with buying some shares? Or
Yeah. That's something that is fine. You should learn that, because I think at the end of the day, there's like basic skills, like, learning to how to open a bank account, learning how to drive a car, learning how to cook, learning to do exercise, those things, right?
Okay, thank you.
So here I have a question from Rupesh. I think some people have a difficulty hearing my voice, but I can't really do much about it. Others, I mean, are others able to hear me, or is it a problem on my side?
You are audible.
No, sir, you are
You're
audible.
audible.
Okay.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. So Rupesh, you have said that, a market is at the top and RPA says it's a bubble. Okay. So first things first, like one thing, there is nobody in this world who really can actually predict a bubble burst. Things can become irrational, and things can remain irrational for longer than what we expect. Then the question is that, are we headed for a pullback in the markets, like where markets just go down a bit and there is some kind of fall? We very well might be, because we are in a time when there is going to be a tighter monetary policy from the banks, meaning that, global central banks will raise rates. The cost of borrowing or cost of investing in the markets will become higher, and hence people will not chase things that are like really crazy. So that's fine. Like, these are cycles, and and I would kind of agree with the RBI that we might just see some kind of like, pullback. But pullback and a bubble burst are different things. In finance, we always come up with a very sensationalized way of describing things. A pullback is something like, 5%, 10% fall over the 1 year period. A bubble burst is like 20%, 30% fall in the market. I don't think that is going to happen. So, in general, markets go up, markets go down, but in the longer run, they go up. But are we looking at something that is going to be like exploding down? I don't think so. Ranjit, yeah. So how risky is it to invest in cryptocurrency given that it is not legal in India? So first thing, yes, I mean, cryptocurrency is not legal in India, but I think there are certain platforms which are allowing you to invest in cryptocurrency indirectly by allowing you to invest in money, and then they are in foreign countries, they are actually buying cryptocurrency on your behalf. But understand this, that cryptocurrency is a good speculative investment, meaning like, it's more like, it's like taking a gamble. Now, whether you want to put 2 rupees into the gamble or whether you want to put 20,000 rupees in the gamble, it is entirely your question. It is entirely your choice. A lot of times people start thinking about cryptocurrency in a very, very, highly debatable manner. Is it right? It is wrong? Are people crazy? Are people sane? My point is that nobody really knows. The only thing that we know is that, cryptocurrency, different people have very, very divergent views. And as a result of that divergent views, it will go very sharply in either direction. The point is that, are you willing to take the bet on it? If you are, then it's fine. But then you have to understand that don't put too much of your money into it. Enjoy the ride, but don't put too much money. Krupal has asked a question about, please tell about CFA. So, okay, CFA is something like your basic certification that you are a financial analyst. It's like what MBBS is in medical. Like, you need to become like a MBBS to become a doctor, right? So CFA allows you to touch upon all the basic things that finance entails, from personal investment management to risk management to portfolios to corporate finance, everything. It allows you to understand and do those things. It's a great thing to do because very few people actually are able to clear it over a period of 1.5 years. Hello. Very few people are able to finish it over the entire period of 1.5 years. But at the same time, it gives you a good credential to present yourself in the financial market. The exam has 3 levels. That those levels are level 1, 2, and 3, and it is conducted over a period of 12 months. In general, about 30 to 35% of people who are appearing in the exams pass. Rest of them are not able to pass. So it's kind of competitive. But it is also a great thing because it's a globally recognized degree. So it becomes very easy for you to present yourself and become look for roles across the world. So yeah, Vijaya, you raised your hand. Rupesh, should we invest in stocks or mutual fund? If stocks, then how to figure out the best one? Yeah, this is a question that a lot of people ask and people have never figured it out completely. But I'll try to answer it. See, if you have a lot of time and if you have expertise in a particular sector, go and try to find out the right stocks. There are a lot of blogs. There is a lot of material around it to find out how to choose the right stock in a particular industry. People have different opinions. It's like a subject of a lifetime. Mutual funds are simpler, right? Just you put your money into some of the mutual funds that they put the money into certain kinds of stocks, whether it is large cap, small cap, mid cap. It's like dumb way of investing or simple way of investing. So my way of doing it is this. I invest in a set of ETFs, exchange traded funds, or mutual funds. I allow most of my money to multiply over there. But if I see a particular fund is doing very well, I will go down and look at what stocks that fund is buying. If there are certain stocks in the fund that have done very well, I'll probably start to understand why they have done well, and then I'll do my study. So it basically is a filter that I apply to that entire process. Instead of like looking at all the stocks that are there in the Indian markets, I look at only the few which have done well. That is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is if you are a computer science guy, then you will probably know which are the IT companies are supposed to be doing well better than the others. Then you should invest in the companies in your sector or segment. It makes sense, right? Because you are an expert, which normal person or even a banking analyst is not. So do either of those two things. Like if you are looking into a mutual fund portfolios, maybe you can go and look at stocks which are high yielding in your portfolio and probably try to select one or two of them and just put your money on them, extra money on them. Or if you're not able to do that, then look at your own sector or area of business that you work in and come up with some good guesses around it. That's how it is. Yeah, that's all I'll say. Questions, please.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Kapil. Hi.
Which technical skills do I need required for the CFA exam?
You can actually go to the CFA Institute website and you can apply to the exam, no?
No, sir. Apply. No, not. My question is not applying. Is it which skill is required for the CFA
Yes,
exam?
there is going to be there is going to be a studying for the exam, and you'll have to actually there will be books that you'll have to buy. There will be study material. All those things will be there, and people can start from zero. It's not like you need to know something, but it takes time.
I guess we have missed one question, which is how is risk to investment in cryptocurrency?
Okay, I think I kind of try to answer that in the sense that I'll again go through it. See, cryptocurrency, I think, is a highly speculative asset where it's very difficult to predict where it will go because different people have different opinions around it. And so far, there has not been a very strong use case for that for crypto. So if you are interested in making money and you get lucky, you can make a lot of money. Otherwise, you lose a lot of. So the thing is, when you invest in crypto, remember two things. It is highly speculative, close to gambling. Secondly, you shouldn't invest too much of your money into it. Maybe 2%, 3% of your assets is good, but don't invest too much into it as of now. That's what I would say. Because all the good stories that you hear about is people who made money. Nobody tells you how people who have not made money, right?
Students who have any question?
Yes. Can
Go
you, sir, people made which biggest mistake in this field?
Okay, I think one of the bigger problems that a lot of people don't understand, and they understand it way later, is that they think that finance is all about numbers. I think finance is basically a business of trust. The more you go higher and higher in finance, it's basically a business of being able to convince people that they can give their hard-earned money to you or to the advice that you are giving in, and to be able to that finance is about living and living and locking yourself up in a room and just running and crunching numbers. I think that is something that is not so right about it. You have to be a great people's person. You have to learn how to appear and be trustworthy in your actions. If you're not able to do that, it's very difficult to survive in the field. Ratna, you have a question. Should MBA be pursued after undergraduate or after some job experience? My personal answer, after some job experience. Otherwise, MBA just becomes like one of the other hurdle races, and the person is just like a horse that is jumping from one hurdle to another. See, MBA is not about passing exams. MBA is also not about getting a very high grade. It is about learning from your peers inside and outside the classroom. It is about learning how to manage people. And if you have never managed people in your life and you just go to an examination hall and try to learn how to manage people, you will not succeed. So the most important thing that you need to learn, particularly in MBA, is to go to the job life, understand how offices work, understand how people work in real life, and then come back and try to pursue a business degree. Otherwise, you'll lose the context.
Then I think experiences plays an important role in it, na?
Yes, obviously, man. Like, see, the thing is that after you, if you go, you do your undergraduate, and then 6 months or 7 months later, you are thrown into a company where you're doing internship. It just becomes useless, because this is the first time you're working. People have higher expectations from people who are doing business degree. They expect you to be leaders. They expect you to be able to manage people, manage negotiations. They expect you to be able to manage emotions, hire people. All those things here, nobody in the school really teaches you. Nobody in an examination hall really teaches you. So unless you have that experience, it's going to be very difficult. Basically, it's like learning about life, right? How job life is. So yeah, Nagma, you have a question. It says that after some days, the cryptocurrency is totally illegal. The answer is that yes, it is illegal in India, but I think there are platforms which allow you to invest in cryptocurrency indirectly. वो करते क्या हैं कि हमसे पैसे लेकर वो एक उसमें इन्वेस्ट कर एक व्हीकल में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, एक पूल में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, और वो पूल जो है वो बाहर है इंडिया के, और वो बिटकॉइन में इन्वेस्ट करता है, और वो उनसे जो उनको पैसा मिलता है वो वापस आपको दे देते हैं. तो ये है. This is the way of these people do it. Now the thing is that is the way they do it, and in some countries it is legal, in some countries it is illegal. The question, the thing is that I don't think it's more of a political and government matter, in the sense that, again, our country has generally been very, very I will say cautious about how some new ways of financing could become channels for money laundering. That is one of the reasons why cryptocurrency is considered illegal. But whether that is always true or not is another thing. But we also know, and we have a lot of evidence, that criminal gangs, drug cartels, and even government spy agencies are using cryptocurrency for payments, because if they are using dollars for payments, they'll be caught. So they are using this. So there is obviously a big legal and criminal problem around it. That is one of the reasons why it is declared illegal. But I'm assuming that if every person who wants to invest in cryptocurrency is not a person who is doing it with that kind of purpose. So to answer your question, yeah, it is like illegal, but there are ways to invest in.
Hello, I am Saurabh. Can I will connect with you on LinkedIn for future guidance?
Yeah, you sure can.
Thank you, sir.
Rupesh, I don't know this. I think Sweta will answer this question.
This is just an interactive session, which we have planned to bridge the gap between the people from corporates and students. We do not provide any certificates for it.
Yeah, Suraj, this is true that a lot of times people who don't have so much knowledge in investment also make money, and that is the point of investments, right? It is always a game of probability and chance. The more important thing is that are the people making money consistently over a long period of time, more than a person who is informed? I have not seen so many examples of that. So while it is true that someday a person who is not knowledgeable will make money over a person who is knowledgeable about the markets, but will they be consistently able to outperform a person who has knowledge? That is a question that I don't think is right. I mean, that is something that's not right. Okay. I think there was one question from Nagma. Is there an investment fee? How much we can earn in initial state if we make our career? So Nagma, generally a person who will get into, there are two tracks mostly in investment or finance. You either enter as a junior analyst level person in a global bank or in an India level bank, and in general salaries are between uh, 6 lakhs to 12 lakhs per annum. So that's about 50,000 rupees to maybe about 1 lakh rupees per annum, dependent upon where you live. I think Mumbai is a bit difficult to save because again, it's a place where everything is expensive right from your rentals. But this is a good starting area. I mean, this is a good range of starting income. So, Atish, you had a question. What are your suggestions? What are your suggestions for long-term investments? So again, long-term investments generally have to be understood from the point of view of your long-term goals. But one of the ways I try to explain this to people is that if you are a person whose income is not highly volatile, you should seek investments that are high return, high risk. For example, you are a salaried person, right? Your salary is going to be increasing by 3%, 4%, 5% every year. Then, as a person, you should seek investment options which are higher risk. But if you are a person whose income is highly volatile, maybe a business person or an entrepreneur or whatever, something like that, you can actually look at investments that hedge your volatility in income. So a better way to understand this is you should be your income and your investment should be opposite of each other. If your income flow is highly risky, your investment should be safe. If your investment flow is if your income flow is highly safe, your investment should be slightly risky. Question from Pradyuman: what platform is best for learning stock market investment from basic? I think there are a couple of them. I can personally recommend you one of my very good alums from Pilani. He runs this platform which is called Wealthians. Wealthians. So you can actually do it. I can this person is, his name is Kundan Kishore, Kundan Kishore. So that's one. I mean, this is just one of them. But to understand investment from the beginning, you can also look at any of these learning modules that are offered by investment apps like, Upstox, Zerodha, Grow. All these people have a proper investing module that is there to help you understand how to make money. Then there are plenty of influencers on Instagram. If you are on Instagram, you can just search for them. I do not have any person recommendations because again, I did not do it that way, but there I have heard of it that there are a lot of people over there. So Naman, your question is that what if we do BTech or BBA or BCom before MBA? I think it is a prerequisite. You cannot do MBA just generally. Nobody will give you it's just like a pre-requirement that you need to do undergraduate degree before doing an MBA. So Rajneesh, you've asked me the question that how much you lose in stocks or in a market is beginning in starting days as a beginner. So I personally have had like a fluctuation, like a variation of plus 40 to minus 15% in my investments so far in the last 7-8 years. One thing I can tell you is that we all should have a mental limit of how much loss we should uh, take before we call it quits, because the thing is that a lot of times we have an anchoring bias. We think that we made a right choice, everybody's wrong, we should stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. Once you're invested, you should sometimes learn how to become detached with emotions. You set your thing that I want to earn 30%, 35% on this, and I'll take a maximum loss of 20% or 25% on this. That is one thing that I've learned. Like, it's sometimes is better to be humble than to be right, than to be wrong, than to be right. Sorry. यानी आपका अगर ऐसा है कि you want to be saying that I like this stock, but if it is like 20% down, just sell it and go away. Unless like you are like an expert and you have a lot of leverage and all those things. We are doing it for our daily lives, right? We are not doing it to prove a point to anyone. So that's how it is. Abhinav, yeah, that's right. It's very important to see past graph of any stock because it does give you a lot of information about how it has been performing, how has the trading been in the stock. Because if it is a stock with a very good fundamental, but there is not enough trading into it, there is it's not going to give you a lot of happiness. So yeah, it's important to be like looking at the past graph of a stock before investing. So I mean, why I was interested in this, I don't so I don't know. Like, you know, I got interested into this when I was doing my first degree in engineering, and I felt that, you know, this is something that would be very beneficial to me, or I liked it. For me, finance was a big way of understanding how people's collective psychological behavior worked. And I still like it. Like, you know, the question is, you know, why do you love what you love? It's a very difficult question to answer for most of us. Like, whether it is like your hobby or a person or whatever, like, you know, it's just stories that we tell ourselves. So I don't know. I don't really know. I have about 5-10 minutes. So any last questions or answers?
Nagma has put this on chat box that do you have any suggestion from your side how they can look for their like their interest into finance?
Yeah, so there are two things actually. One is basic finance, in the sense that something that we need to do to be able to survive, plan for our lives. And for that, there are modules on personal finance, personal financial planning, based on what goals you want to achieve in life, how do you want to. Then there is finance meaning that expertise in finance. So I think there are a few traits of people who would be very happy to go into finance. One is that they should be liking numbers and they should be good at it. Secondly, they should be liking how to meet with a lot of people, talk to them, get them convinced. They should have a lot of good sales power. And thirdly, they should be very detail oriented. So if you're a person who has two or three of these traits, you are a good fit. But whether you want to make that decision for yourself is another question.
Any more questions? Students, if you have any questions, you can put it across the chat box.
Or wait, let me actually put my number in here. Or you can write to me at S is not cap. Okay, thanks guys.
Yeah, I guess we are done with all the questions. And thank you so much, sir, for guiding our students. And it was really an insightful session.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. And yeah, an announcement for student, as many of you have asked questions regarding Bitcoin. So tomorrow we are conducting a session on Bitcoin. Interested one can join and they can register themselves. I am sharing the link in the chat box.
Thank you, sir, for such a great webinar.